Okay, so garage is finished. Um, it's been finished for a couple days. Um, just kind of a recap. Um, I did 8-foot ceilings in here. Used pre-cut studs. You can do 9-foot, but this house is on a budget, so I did 8-foot ceilings. I did all the way around the outside. I put a 6-inch high strip of pressure treated plywood because to me this is too close to the ground for OSB, too close to the soil. I mean, of course it's covered with siding, but over time it can get moisture coming up from the bottom causing dry rot. So I took the extra time to cut 6-inch wide strips of pressure treated 1/2-inch plywood, and then I put that around. I did it all the way around, even where the foundation is more than a foot off the ground, just to keep it all the same. Anyway, it's not something you have to do, but it's really the right way to do it. It's a little bit of extra time because you got to block. Now I had a lot of scrap. This is from the concrete forms, and just scrap. I got some 2x6, I got some 2x8. So I just ended up burning that up, using that for blocking here to provide nailing, because now of course there's a joint here, so to provide nailing here. So I put that all the way around. I installed 2 windows. I did that for looks because the side of the garage faces the street, so I didn't want it to just look like a wall of siding. If I would have not had windows, I would have had either ordered a garage door with windows or a garage door with windows and a window in this door. But because I put 2, they're 3040s, so they're 3 feet wide, 4 feet high. I can save a little money on the garage door, not having to put windows in that, and then not having to order a door with windows. This is just an inexpensive metal door. And then when you do the windows, I put this 6-inch wide, we call it window wrap. I mean, it's not just a slang term. I don't know here they call it extreme flashing. It's different brands. This lumber yard that supplied this, 84, supplied by Framing Package, supplied this stuff, Tamerlan brand. It's just a self-stick. It's like an adhesive asphalt on the back, sort of, and you peel the paper off, and then you apply this stuff on all the way around. You do the bottom first, and then you do the sides because you want it to overlap the bottom, and then you do the top and you overlap the sides. I also put a piece in here. I don't know how, this is unheated space. I don't know how necessary it is, but it makes me feel better. It's supposed to help with air infiltration, moisture infiltration. So even the house wrap, is it necessary in an unheated space? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but everybody does it. So I guess it helps. There's going to be hardy siding on here, so I guess that could absorb moisture. But anyway, I'm not sure about that, but I did it. I put house wrap, I put the window wrap. When I install windows, I set them up off the sill a little bit. I stick a couple of shims under there, wood shims. I set the window on top of the shims, and then I go to level it, and I put a 4-foot level on the side of it, and then I go to level it. And in the opening, my openings are pretty square. It just depends. That's because I framed it myself. Obviously when you're production framing, openings might not be that square. But I do keep the bottom up off the sill a little bit. So I set on shims, I set the window, I get it all nailed in, and then I take the shims out. They get in the way for when the carpenters come. And now I'm going to probably do the finished carpenter here, but when they come and put the wood sill in. I nail every other hole. They give you, the nailing fins for the windows are perforated. I do every other hole. They put the holes every 4 or 5 inches. I don't think it needs that many nails. And then you never nail the top. There's even instructions on the window, I think. But anyway, you never nail the top. You just nail the sides and the bottom. Let's see, what else? I did do a green plate, pressure treated plate that's bolted to the floor. And then I bolted that first, and then I built the wall with a standard plate, put that on top, and then I nailed down. And then the 6-inch plywood is nailed. It's nailed to the green plate, and then it's nailed across here in the blocking, so that locks this wall to this plate, for wind or whatever. So it's locked together. And then the OSB, and I had to cut it a little bit short because otherwise it would be too, it's 8-foot sheets made for 8-foot walls. So I had to rip some off because of the 6 inches I added here. And then of course that's nailed continuously. So it's all locked together. And that's the way you would do it. The reason I did the green plate and bolted it, first, I used 5/8 by 5-inch anchor bolts, about every 4 feet. And then you have to drill the bottom of this plate here, the second plate, the white plate. You have to drill the bottom of that with like an 1.5-inch bit so that it fits over the bolt head that's sticking up. Anyway, yeah, so I did that, and then it was easier to stand the wall up because when you pour concrete, if you got J-bolts sticking up, a J-bolt is the one that's kind of shaped like that, and they're 8 or 10 inches long. They got a little hook at the bottom to grab into the concrete. If you set those, and then when the concrete's being poured, and then you go to try to lift the wall up, if you got a couple of guys, and you're not sheeting your walls first, and putting on, I put the overhangs on, everything, it's heavy. It would be hard to lift it up and get on top of those bolts. So that way I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to do that. I was able to just stand the wall up, and then it sat on top of this plate, fastened it down, and then put the 6-inch strip of pressure treated plywood, and it locks it all together. Let's see, what else? I used 2x12s here. I probably could have used 2x10s. Honestly, I don't know what I was thinking, because now I'm looking at it, God, that's awful beefy. It's not bad. It's just it's a little bit more cost over 2x10s. I did use 16-footers because ordering over 16-foot, the price went up like $35 a piece, or some huge amount of money. So it's cheaper to buy an 8-footer and just scab it on. These aren't really going to take much weight anyway. There's not a floor up here. People will store stuff, but between the top of this and the peak is maybe 2.5 feet. They're not going to be storing a lot of stuff, right? So, and it's not going to break because I put in a boatload of nails. I mean, as you can see, I think there's 60 or 70 nails. Nailing gun goes quick, right? It's not like you're putting them in by hand. So, it's not going to collapse. But anyway, so I did 6 of those. I did, every 32 inches. But like I said, I probably could have used 2x10s. Because it's not a floor. You're not going to be walking on it. It's not going to carry a live load. And maybe if you have a really tall peak, this is a 412 pitch, maybe you could like walk up there, or certainly put a lot of stuff up there. Maybe you might want to use solid lumber all the way across. But it was an inordinate amount of money more, and I'm going, okay, there's 6 times, say at $25, I saved over the cost of the 8-footer. That's $150, right? So anyway, so that's what I did. And time-wise, it wasn't that big of a deal to nail them off. And then I put, some people only put one on top. I put one on top and on the bottom. Doesn't take that much longer. There's a joint here, they're tied together, and then it's tied in here to the wall, and then there's another one that laps over and is nailed down, up here from, try to get the pencil where here, right? So, and then this overlaps, and then I did the same thing here. This one I put a stud across and did the same thing, nailed it down. And then these are nailed, and then nailed from the bottom. Did that all the way across to tie everything together, tighten everything up, get all the welds straightened out. Like I said, you can just put one across the top. To me, it's a little better to have two. Now I'm going to be drywalling the walls in here, but I'm not going to drywall the ceiling, obviously. So, because I want to. Well, number one, it's a cost issue, and then number two, it gives people storage up here. So, I do leave my plywood back about 2 inches on each side because I'm going to use a ridge vent. This is an unheated space, but still it builds up a lot of heat in the summer, especially here in Texas where it gets over 100 degrees most every day in the summer. So it'll help vent the heat out. So, and I also put some what they call them air hawks, the vents that sit on the plastic vents that sit on the roof. We'll probably put 3 or 4 of those in here. In addition to this, a couple feet down from, so maybe around here, whether I roof it or I have the roofers roof it. I'll have some of those put in. I think that's about it. This is just kind of a recap of everything. All these overhangs were put on before this wall was stood up. Faster, easier. Yeah. Everything here nice and straight all the way down. Snap a chalk line, and then use my speed square to make the lines, to make it plumb, and then just went up there and cut them off with a circular saw. These, of course, were all put on, this 2x4, and these were put on when the wall was laying on the ground. Faster, easier. Let's see, what else? Oh, when you're framing a garage door, your garage door opening from inside to inside needs to be 16 foot. So when you frame it, because you're putting, like I put a green material, I put a 2x6 because these are 2x4 walls, so you want it to stick out a little farther because your siding will go up to it. So you want to frame 3 inches over because you got 1.5 inches material here, 1.5 inches material there. Same thing on top, you want to frame 1.5 inches tall because you're gonna, this is a 7-foot garage door, so you want it to be 7 foot to here. I mean, if it's 7 foot up here, it's not the end of the world, but you start crowding in on your whatever garage door pattern you have. Because what they'll do is the garage door company will install, they're usually 1/2 inch by, I think, 2 inch, they're vinyl, and then they have a rubber flap on. So when the garage door comes down and closes, there's like a rubber seal here, a flexible rubber seal that seals around the garage door all the way around. So your garage door is 16 foot, and then you've got 1/2 inch of material plus that, so it'll cover the gap here where your garage door ends. Okay, so you frame 3 inches over because you're going to put, I use pressure treated material because it runs all the way down to the ground. So that's something to think about when you're framing. I mean, if you're new at this. I'm trying to think. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's kind of the recap. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, back to work, I guess. Oh, and I've got, I got a lot of other videos on house framing and stuff. I kind of break stuff down. I was a framer like back in the 80s and 90s. I mean, I'm in my 60s now, so I don't do too much framing anymore. But anyway, so there's, if you tips, tricks, pointers, shortcuts, all that kind of stuff, the stuff that you learn as a framer along the way, if you're new at this, or maybe you're just doing your own house or whatever. There's a lot of other videos on my channel. I went through framing, this is the house out here, and then I kind of broke down the garage separately. I mean, it's basically the same thing. The only thing that was different was, using this system here versus a raised foundation like I used on the house. Anyway, yeah, so check out the other, I don't need to tell you to like and subscribe. You can, I'm not doing this for being a YouTube star. I'm just trying to pass on some information that I learned over the years. Because, it's hard to get information. There's a lot of people making videos, they're showing themselves doing the work, but they're not explaining what they're doing, why they're doing, that sort of thing. I mean, there is some, but there's not a lot. So I'm just trying to give people some idea, get the details. I'm not interested in editing and having an intro and an outro and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, but, like I said, if you want to learn more stuff, I've got other videos on my channel. All right, back to work.